The message came through the deep space relay at 3 in the morning, Earth time. Commander Alex Stone was drinking his 4th cup of coffee when the communication array on the USS Liberty started screaming warnings. Emergency frequencies didn't light up like Christmas trees unless something was very, very wrong. Stone put down his mug and walked to the main display. The signal was coming from the Outer Rim, where the peaceful Zilani Republic kept their farming worlds. The Zilani were good people. They grew food for half the galaxy and never asked for anything in return, except fair trade and peaceful skies. The transmission crackled with static and fear. Ambassador Veltar appeared on screen, his usually calm blue features twisted with panic. His species looked like tall, slender humans with smooth blue skin and large dark eyes. They were known across the galaxy for being gentle and wise. Coalition. Command, this is Ambassador Veltar of the Zilani Republic. We need immediate military assistance. The Kreks have come. They have taken 3 of our worlds already. Our people are dying. Billions are dying. Stone felt his blood turn cold. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Kreks. They were a nightmare species that consumed everything in their path. Planets, people, entire star systems. Nothing was safe when the Kreks decided to feed. They moved like a plague across space, leaving dead worlds behind them. Repeat your message, Ambassador, Stone said into his communicator. How many Krek ships are we talking about? The blue alien's voice broke as he spoke. Our sensors count over 2,000 vessels. They are not just attacking our military bases. They are eating our worlds. The plants, the animals, our people, everything becomes food for them. We have 12 billion citizens left on 4 worlds. Commander, we have maybe 2 weeks before they are all gone. Stone immediately sent the message up the chain of command, while keeping the channel open with Veltar. The Coalition had tried to fight the Kreks before. 2 entire fleets had been lost in previous encounters. The problem was that normal military tactics didn't work against them. The Kreks didn't care about losing ships or troops. They had billions of both and could make more by consuming whatever they conquered. Within an hour, Stone received new orders. Earth was sending aid to the Zilani Republic. He was to provide escort and support for the human response team. Back on Earth, General Lisa Brooks sat in her office reading the same reports that had reached Stone. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. For 20 years, she had run Earth's most secret military division, the one that handled problems other people couldn't solve. Colonel Jake Murphy knocked on her door and entered without waiting for permission. He was her second in command and one of the few people who knew exactly what Earth kept hidden in its deepest military bases. Ma'am, I've reviewed the Krek situation. The Coalition forces are requesting standard military support. Ships, weapons, defensive positions, Murphy said, placing a data pad on her desk. Brooks looked at the numbers. 12 billion innocent people. Facing extinction. 2 weeks until complete annihilation. An enemy that couldn't be reasoned with, negotiated with, or frightened away. Jake, what did we learn from the last Coalition engagement with the Kreks? She asked. Murphy pulled up the files on his tablet. The Coalition sent a fleet of 300 ships with standard weapons and tactics. They tried to establish defensive positions around the targeted worlds. The Kreks simply overwhelmed them with numbers. For every Krek ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. The fleet lasted 4 days. And the second engagement? 500 ships, better coordination, improved weapons. They lasted 6 days. The Kreks adapted to their tactics faster than the Coalition could change them. Brooks stood up and walked to the window that looked out over the training grounds. Down below, regular human soldiers were running drills. Good people, well trained. But not what this situation needed. The Zilani are asking for aid, Jake. They want us to send ships and soldiers to protect them. Yes, ma'am. Standard peacekeeping deployment. Brooks turned back to face him. But that's not what they need, is it? They need the threat eliminated, completely. Murphy understood immediately. His expression grew serious. Are you thinking about releasing the wolves? The wolves were Earth's deepest secret. Officially, they didn't exist. Unofficially, they were humanity's answer to threats that conventional forces couldn't handle. Each Volf was a volunteer who had undergone genetic enhancement, psychological conditioning, and cybernetic augmentation. They were faster, stronger, and smarter than normal humans. More importantly, they were trained for one specific purpose: to eliminate threats with maximum efficiency. The Coalition has lost 800 ships trying to fight the Kreks using normal tactics, Brooks said. The Kreks don't respond to conventional warfare. They're not an army, they're a force of nature. You don't fight a hurricane, Jake. You either get out of its way or you destroy what's causing it. Murphy nodded. The wolves are designed for surgical strikes against high-value targets. If anyone can find and eliminate the Kreks leadership, it's them. Brooks picked up her secure phone and dialed a number that connected to a facility buried 3 miles underground in the Colorado mountains. The voice that answered was calm and professional. Wolf Den, Captain Sam Davis speaking. Captain, this is General Brooks. I need Alpha and Beta teams ready for immediate deployment. Priority 1 mission. There was a brief pause. Priority 1 meant extinction-level threat. It meant the gloves were coming off. Ma'am, Alpha team is ready. Lieutenant Kate Williams has. Beta team at full combat status. What's the target? The Kreks have invaded the Zelani Republic. 12 billion civilians, 2 weeks until total extinction. The Coalition wants us to send defensive forces. Understood, General. What are your orders? Brooks looked out the window again at the normal soldiers training below. Good people who would die uselessly against an enemy like the Kreks. Captain, the Zelani asked for aid. They want protection and defense. They want us to save them. And what are we giving them, ma'am? Brooks smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We're giving them a solution. The Kreks are the problem. You and your teams are going to eliminate that problem. Completely. Rules of engagement? Whatever it takes. Captain, the Kreks don't take prisoners, and they don't negotiate. Neither do you. Make them extinct before they can do the same to the Zelani. Davis was quiet for a moment. Ma'am, the Zelani are peaceful people. They might not understand our methods. They don't need to understand, Captain. They need to survive. Sometimes the only way to save innocent lives is to perfect the art of taking guilty ones. Within 6 hours, the USS Vengeance was launching from Earth's hidden military shipyard. It was a stealth destroyer designed specifically for wolf operations. Fast, invisible to most sensors, and packed with weapons that could crack planets if necessary. Captain Sam Davis stood in the briefing room with his 2 teams. 24 of humanity's most dangerous people, each one a living weapon trained to solve problems that others couldn't even approach. Lieutenant Kate Williams raised her hand. Sir, intelligence reports suggest the Zelani are expecting a peacekeeping force. Davis nodded. They are. They asked Earth for aid. They want defenders and protectors. Sergeant Mike Turner, one of the older wolves, smiled grimly. But that's not what we're bringing them. No, Davis replied. We're bringing them something much more effective. The Zelani want to be saved. The Kreks want to consume everything. Both of those wants are about to become irrelevant. He activated the tactical display, showing the Kreks invasion routes. Red markers indicated conquered worlds. Blue markers showed the remaining Zelani populations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 weeks to save 12 billion innocent people from a threat that has defeated every conventional force sent against it. We're not going there to defend. We're going there to hunt. The USS Vengeance disappeared into hyperspace, carrying Earth's apex killers toward a war zone where the very concept of mercy was about to become extinct. The USS Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zalani home system, like a ghost materializing from the void. Captain Sam Davis stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display paint a grim picture. 3 worlds showed as dead. Zones on the scanner, no energy signatures, no communications, no life. The Krex had consumed everything. Commander Alex Stone's voice crackled over the communication channel from the USS Liberty. Vengeance, this is Liberty Actual. The Zalani are waiting for you on their homeworld. They have prepared reception ceremonies and housing for your peacekeeping forces. Davis almost smiled at that. Peacekeeping forces. If only they knew what was really coming, acknowledged Liberty. We'll dock at their main station in 2 hours. Lieutenant Kate Williams approached Davis with a datapad showing intelligence reports. Sir, the Zalani have cleared their largest military academy to house what they think will be our troops. They're expecting at least 5,000 soldiers based on standard coalition deployment patterns. How many are they actually getting? Davis asked. 24 wolves and enough equipment to level a small moon. Davis nodded. The Zalani were about to get the shock of their lives, but it was better than getting consumed by the Krex. 2 hours. Later, the docking tube connected to Zalani Prime Station with a soft hiss. Ambassador Veltar waited at the airlock with a full honor guard and what looked like half the planetary government. They had prepared speeches, ceremonial gifts, and a feast to welcome their human protectors. The airlock opened. Captain Davis stepped through first, followed by Lieutenant Williams and the rest of Alpha Team. 24 humans in black armor that seemed to absorb light. No ceremonial dress uniforms. No parade formations. Just soldiers who looked like they had been built for war and nothing else. The Zalani delegation fell silent. These weren't the defenders they had imagined. Ambassador Veltar stepped forward, his blue skin paler than usual. Captain Davis, welcome to Zalani Prime. We have prepared quarters for your peacekeeping forces. When will the rest of your troops arrive? Davis looked at the crowd of hopeful alien faces. Politicians, military officers, civilians who thought salvation had arrived in the form of human soldiers who would stand between them and the Krex. Ambassador, these are all the troops Earth is sending. The silence stretched for several uncomfortable seconds. Council Leader Zorith, an elderly Zalani with silver markings on his face, stepped forward. Captain, our intelligence reports suggest you need at least brigade strength to establish effective defensive perimeters. 24 soldiers cannot protect 12 billion people. Lieutenant Williams spoke for the first time. We're not here to protect anyone, sir. We're here to eliminate the threat. The Zalani looked confused. Defense Minister Colvin, a stocky Zalani with military bearing, frowned at the humans. Eliminate the threat? The Krex have over 2,000 ships and billions of warriors. How do 24 soldiers eliminate that? Davis activated a holographic display from his wrist computer. It showed detailed intelligence on Krex force structures, command hierarchies, and tactical patterns that no coalition force had ever obtained. The Krex aren't just a swarm, Minister. They have a command structure. Leaders, coordinators, communication. Nodes. Take out the right targets in the right order, and the entire force collapses. Ambassador Veltar looked troubled. Captain, the coalition has tried targeted strikes before. The Krex adapt too quickly. They replace their losses and continue their advance. The coalition tried conventional targeted strikes, Williams corrected. They sent squadrons of fighters and cruisers to attack heavily defended positions. We don't work that way. Council Leader Zorith gestured to the prepared reception area. Perhaps we should discuss this over the meal we have prepared. You must be tired from your journey. Davis shook his head. We don't have time for ceremonies, sir. Every hour we spend talking is another hour the Krex spend consuming your people. My teams deploy to Kepler 7 in 30 minutes. Kepler 7? Defense. Minister Colvin's face went white. Captain, that world is under full Krex occupation. Our last communication from there was a distress call 3 days ago. Nothing has survived there. Then it's the perfect place to start hunting, Davis replied. The Zilani delegation exchanged worried glances. This wasn't going according to any plan they had imagined. These humans weren't talking about defensive positions or evacuation routes. They were talking about walking into the mouth of the beast. Ambassador Veltar tried one more time. Captain, surely you understand that we need to establish secure zones for our civilians, build defenses around our remaining worlds, create safe havens where our people can survive. Davis looked at the ambassador with eyes that held no warmth. Sir, the Krex don't leave safe havens. They consume everything. The only way your people survive is if the Krex don't. But how can 24 soldiers accomplish what entire fleets could not? Sergeant Mike Turner stepped forward. He was older than the other wolves, with scars that told stories the Zilani probably didn't want to hear. Because fleets fight like fleets. They announce themselves, follow rules, try to minimize collateral damage. We don't. Lieutenant Williams activated her own display, showing tactical plans that made the Zilani military officers step back in shock. We've identified 17 key command nodes on Kepler-7. Take them out simultaneously, and the local Krex forces lose coordination. After that, it's just cleanup. Cleanup? Council Leader Zoreth asked weakly. Killing everything that's left, Williams replied matter-of-factly. The Zilani stood in stunned silence. These weren't the noble defenders they had hoped for. These were something else entirely. Something that spoke of war like other people discussed the weather. Defense Minister Colvin found his voice first. Captain, the Krex are not just invaders. They are a force of nature. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be frightened, cannot be stopped by conventional means. Good, Davis said. Neither can we. Ambassador Veltar looked desperately at the human soldiers. Captain, what you're describing sounds like ... He struggled for the words. It sounds like you intend to exterminate them. Davis met his gaze. Without blinking. That's exactly what we intend to do, Ambassador. The Krex are an extinction-level threat. The appropriate response to an extinction-level threat is extinction. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The Zilani had asked for aid, for protection, for someone to stand between them and the darkness. Instead, Earth had sent something that planned to become the darkness. Council Leader Zoreth stepped forward, his voice shaking. Captain, we are a peaceful people. We do not believe in genocide, even against our enemies. That's why you're about to be extinct, and we're not, Sergeant Turner observed. Lieutenant Williams checked her equipment one final time. Respectfully, sir, your beliefs are irrelevant to the situation. The Krex don't care about your peaceful nature. They only care about consuming your resources, your people, and your worlds. We're going to make sure they can't do that. Davis activated his communicator. All teams, prepare for deployment. Target is Kepler-7. Mission parameters are search and destroy. No prisoners, no survivors, no mercy. The Zilani delegation watched in horror as the wolves began checking weapons. That looked more like instruments of annihilation than standard military equipment. Ambassador Veltar made one last desperate plea. Captain, surely there must be another way. Some means of negotiation or compromise. Davis paused at the airlock. Ambassador, 12 billion of your people are going to die unless the Krex threat is eliminated completely. You asked Earth for aid. This is what aid looks like when the threat is extinction. The humans filed back through the airlock, leaving the Zilani alone with their fears and their growing realization that they had invited something terrible into their war. Something that might save them, but would do it in ways they could never accept or understand. As the USS Vengeance pulled away from the station, Ambassador Veltar stared out the observation window at the disappearing ship. What have we done? he whispered. Council leader Zoreth placed a hand on his shoulder. We asked for salvation. I fear we may have received damnation instead. The ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying Earth's apex killers toward their first hunt. The Zilani were left to wonder if being saved was worth the price their rescuers planned to exact. The USS Vengeance slipped through space toward Kepler-7 like death itself. Captain Sam Davis stood in the briefing room with his teams, studying the latest intelligence reports. The planet below was supposed to be dead, consumed by the Krex-3 days ago, but their sensors were picking up something unexpected. The Krex are still there, Lieutenant Kate Williams reported, pointing at the tactical display. Massive biosignatures across the northern continent. They're not just occupying the planet, they're changing it. Sergeant Mike Turner studied the readings with interest. Changing it how? They're growing something. The entire landscape is being converted into some kind of organic structure. Our best guess is they're building a breeding facility. Davis nodded grimly. This was actually good news. A breeding facility meant high-value targets would be concentrated in one area. It also meant the Krex were planning to use Kepler-7 as a launching point for further expansion. Time frame? Davis asked. Intel suggests they'll have a new brood, ready to launch in 72 hours. Estimates put it at 50,000 new warrior units. The silence in the room was heavy. 50,000 more Krex warriors would be enough to overwhelm the remaining Zilani worlds in days instead of weeks. Davis activated the mission display. Alpha Team takes the primary breeding complex. Beta Team handles the support structures. Turner, I want you and your specialists to find and eliminate any command nodes. Questions? Corporal Amy Foster raised her hand. Sir, what about civilians? Intel reports suggest there might be Zilani survivors in hiding. Secondary objective, Davis replied. Primary mission is threat elimination. If you can save civilians without compromising the mission, do it. If you can't, the mission takes priority. The words were harsh, but every Volf in the room understood the math. Saving a few dozen civilians while allowing the Krex to produce 50,000 new warriors meant 12 billion dead instead of 12 billion saved. 6 hours later, the first insertion pods launched from the Vengeance toward Kepler-7's surface. Each pod contained 2 wolves and enough firepower to level a city block. They fell through the atmosphere like shooting stars, invisible to Krex sensors until it was too late. Davis and Turner landed in a forest that no longer existed. The trees had been consumed and replaced with twisted organic structures that pulsed with alien life. The ground beneath their feet felt soft and warm, like walking on living tissue. Movement, 2 o'clock. Turner whispered into his communicator. Davis saw them too. Krex warrior drones, each one 8 feet tall and built like a nightmare combination of insect and machine. They moved in perfect coordination, their biomechanical limbs carrying them across the transformed landscape with disturbing grace. Davis signaled Turner to hold position. They watched as a patrol of 12 drones passed within 50 feet of their hiding spot. The creatures moved without sound, their sensors constantly sweeping for threats they couldn't detect. They're not expecting ground infiltration, Turner observed quietly. Davis smiled behind his helmet. The Krex had adapted to fight coalition fleets. They weren't prepared for humans who fought like predators instead of armies. The first kill came 30 minutes later. Turner moved like smoke through the organic corridors of what had once been a Zilani city. The Krex warrior never saw him coming. A single strike with a vibroblade severed the creature's primary neural cluster. It died without making a sound. Davis took his first target 2 minutes after Turner. The Krex guard was monitoring a bank of bioorganic sensors when Davis appeared. Behind it like death itself. The creature had time to register surprise before Davis's weapon ended its existence. Across the planet, similar scenes played out as the wolves began their hunt. This wasn't warfare as the galaxy understood it. This was extermination raised to an art form. Lieutenant Williams led Beta Team through the support structures on the southern continent. Her mission was to locate and destroy the Krex resource processing centers. These facilities converted consumed organic matter into materials the breeding complex needed to function. Corporal Ben Clark found the first processing center buried under what had been a Zilani agricultural dome. The sight that greeted him would have broken a normal person's mind. Thousands of organic pods lined the walls, each one containing biological matter that had once been living creatures. Clark didn't hesitate. He placed his charges with surgical precision, ensuring maximum destruction with minimal noise. The processing center died in a cascade of silent explosions that left nothing but ash. Meanwhile, Sergeant Turner had found something that made his blood turn cold. Deep beneath the breeding complex, the Krex had constructed something that defied description. It was part machine, part living creature, and completely alien. His enhanced senses told him it was some kind of communication hub. Command. This is Turner. I found their coordination center. It's different from anything in our intelligence reports. Davis's voice crackled through the comm system. Different how? It's not just coordinating the local forces. I'm picking up signals going out to other star systems. This thing is in contact with Krex forces across the galaxy. The implications hit Davis immediately. This wasn't just a breeding facility. It was a command center for the entire Krex expansion operation. Taking it out wouldn't just save the Zilani Republic. It would cripple Krex operations everywhere. Turner, can you destroy it? Not with standard charges. This thing is heavily shielded and has redundant biosystems. I'd need something with more punch. Davis checked his mission clock. They had been on the ground for 6 hours, and the Krex were starting to adapt to their presence. Patrols were increasing and search patterns were becoming more sophisticated. Williams, status report. Beta. Team has eliminated 4 processing centers. The breeding complex should be running low on resources within 12 hours. Good. Alpha Team has eliminated the primary brood queens. No new warriors will be produced here. But even as Davis spoke, he knew they had discovered something much bigger than expected. The communication hub Turner had found changed everything. This wasn't just about saving the Zilani anymore. Corporal Foster's voice cut through the tactical chatter. All teams, we have a problem. Krex forces are converging on our positions. Looks like they've figured out we're here. Davis checked his sensors. Red dots were moving across the tactical display like blood cells rushing to heal a wound. The Krex were mobilizing everything they had to stop the human infiltrators. Time to go loud, Davis announced. All teams, switch to direct action protocols. Mission parameters remain the same. Eliminate all threats. The night sky of Kepler 7 lit up with explosions as the wolves stopped hiding and started hunting with full intensity. What had been a surgical infiltration became a symphony of destruction as Earth's apex killers showed the galaxy what they were truly capable of. In the breeding complex, Davis fought his way toward Turner's position. Krex warriors threw themselves at him in waves, but his enhanced reflexes and superior equipment cut through them like they were made of paper. Turner held his position at the communication hub, his weapons keeping dozens of Krex at bay while he worked to override the alien technology. Every second counted now. If he could take control of the hub instead of destroying it, they might be able to turn the Krex's own communication system against them. Davis, I think I can hack this thing. Give me 10 minutes. You've got 5, Davis replied, cutting down another wave of attackers. As Turner worked, signals began flowing through the hub to Krex forces throughout the galaxy. But now those signals carried new instructions. Instead of coordination and expansion, they carried chaos and confusion. The hunt was about to become a massacre. Sergeant Mike Turner's fingers moved across the alien interface like a pianist playing death itself. The Krex communication hub responded to his touch, its bioorganic circuits pulsing with new rhythms as he rewrote the commands flowing through. Turner, status report. Captain Davis's voice crackled through the comm system. Davis was 50 feet away, holding back waves of Krex warriors with precision fire that never seemed to miss. Almost there, Captain. This system is more complex than anything we've seen before. It's not just sending orders, it's sending genetic instructions, tactical updates, even emotional conditioning. Emotional conditioning? The Krex aren't just a hive mind. They're a controlled mind. This hub tells them what to think, how to feel, when to attack, when to retreat. It's the puppet master for the entire species. Davis cut down another group of attacking warriors while processing this information. If Turner was right, they weren't just fighting an invasion force. They were fighting slaves controlled by a master system. Can you turn it off? Better than that. I can turn it against them. Turner's enhanced brain worked faster than any normal human could manage. He was reading alien code, understanding biomechanical interfaces, and rewriting the fundamental programming of an entire species. All while Krex warriors tried to kill him, Lieutenant Kate Williams's voice joined the communication channel. All teams report status. We're seeing strange behavior from Krex forces across the planet. Corporal Amy Foster responded first. Beta team here. The Krex just stopped attacking. They're standing around like they're waiting for orders. Corporal Ben Clark added his report. Same here. They look confused. Some of them are attacking each other. Turner smiled as he worked. That's the chaos protocol kicking in. I'm feeding contradictory orders into their system. Half of them are being told to attack. The other half are being told to defend. They don't know which command to follow. Davis watched as the Krex warriors around him began to move erratically. Some dropped their weapons. Others started fighting with their own troops. The perfect coordination that made them so dangerous was falling apart. Turner, how long can you maintain this? As long as the hub stays active. But Captain, there's something else. This system isn't just controlling local forces. It's connected to every Krex facility in the galaxy. If I can upload the right virus, we can shut down the entire species. The implications hit Davis like a physical blow. They weren't just talking about saving the Zolani Republic anymore. They were talking about ending the Krex threat forever. Complete extinction of a species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Do it, Davis ordered without hesitation. Turner's hands moved faster as he began uploading the extinction protocol. It was elegant in its simplicity. A program that would tell every Krex in existence to shut down their own life support systems. No violence, no suffering, just a command to stop living. Back on Zolani Prime, Ambassador Veltar and the Council watched their sensors in amazement. Krex forces throughout their territory had simply stopped moving. Ships drifted powerless. Ground forces stood motionless. The invasion had ended as suddenly as it had begun. What's happening? Council leader Zorath asked, staring at the tactical displays. Defense Minister Colvan was reviewing reports from across their territory. All Krex forces have ceased hostile actions. No communications, no movement, no signs of activity. Ambassador Veltar felt a chill run through his blue skin. The humans, they've done something. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. 24 human soldiers had accomplished what entire fleets couldn't manage. They had stopped the Krex completely. On Kepler to 7, Turner finished uploading the extinction protocol. The virus spread through the galactic communication network like wildfire, reaching every Krex facility, every ship, every warrior in the galaxy. Within minutes, the entire species received the same simple command: terminate. Upload complete, Turner announced. The Krex are finished. Davis looked around at the battlefield. Krek's bodies lay everywhere, but they hadn't died from weapons. Fire. They had simply stopped functioning when their own systems told them to shut down. All teams, report in. Mission status? The responses came back quickly. Every Wolf was alive and operational. The Krek's forces on Kepler 7 were completely eliminated. The breeding facility was destroyed. The planet was secured, but the real victory was happening across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, Krek's forces were shutting down permanently. The species that had consumed entire civilizations was consuming itself on command. Lieutenant Williams joined Davis at the communication hub. Sir, we're receiving messages from coalition forces across the galaxy. Krek's fleets everywhere have gone silent. Ships are drifting dead in space. Ground forces have collapsed. Davis nodded. Turner, can you confirm the extent of the shutdown? Turner was monitoring the galactic network through the hub. Complete extinction, Captain. Every Krek's facility, every ship, every individual. The virus reached them all. The species is gone. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. In less than 12 hours, the wolves had eliminated an entire species. Not defeated them, not driven them away, but erased them from existence. Pack it up, Davis ordered. Mission complete. The journey back to Zilani Prime was quiet. The wolves had done what they came to do, but the magnitude of their success was still sinking in. They had committed genocide on a galactic scale, and they had done it to save innocent lives. When the USS Vengeance docked at Zilani Prime Station, the reception was very different from their arrival. The Zilani delegation was there, but they looked at the humans with a mixture of gratitude and fear. Ambassador Veltar stepped forward as the wolves disembarked. Captain Davis, our sensors show that all Krek's forces have been eliminated. How did you accomplish this? Davis looked at the assembled Zilani officials. We found their central command system and turned it against them. The threat has been permanently eliminated. Council leader Zorith's voice was barely a whisper. You killed them all. Every single Krek's in the galaxy. Yes, Davis replied simply. The Zilani stood in stunned silence. They had been saved, but the price was the complete extinction of their enemies. It was victory, but it felt like something darker. Defense Minister Colvin found his voice first. Captain, what you've done, it goes beyond warfare. You've eliminated an entire species. Lieutenant Williams stepped forward. Minister, that species was dedicated to eliminating every other species in the galaxy. They couldn't be reasoned with, couldn't be stopped by conventional means, and wouldn't have stopped until everything was consumed. But genocide. Ambassador Veltar struggled with the word. Is sometimes the only solution to extinction, Davis. Finished. You asked Earth for aid. We gave you survival. The Krek's chose to be an extinction-level threat. We chose to make them extinct instead. The Zilani Council exchanged looks of confusion and horror. They were alive, their people were safe, their worlds were secure. But the method of their salvation troubled them deeply. Council leader Zorith spoke for all of them. Captain, we are grateful for our survival. But what you've done. It frightens us. You don't fight wars. You solve problems by eliminating them completely. Davis nodded. That's correct. It's more efficient. As the wolves prepared to leave, Ambassador Veltar approached Davis one final time. Captain, what happens now? What happens to a galaxy that knows humanity can eliminate entire species? Davis looked out at the stars through the station's viewing port. Ambassador, the galaxy becomes a much more peaceful place. Problems get solved through negotiation instead of violence. Disputes get settled through compromise instead of war. Because now everyone knows what happens to problems that can't be solved peacefully. The USS Vengeance departed Zilani space as quietly as it had arrived. The wolves returned to their hidden facilities on Earth, their mission complete. Throughout the galaxy, the news spread quickly. The Kreks were gone. Completely gone. And humanity had done it with 24 soldiers in less than 24 hours. The message was clear to every species, every government, every potential threat. Earth doesn't send aid. Earth sends solutions. And sometimes the solution is extinction.